everyone. This is Safeguarding Matters, a podcast by the Safeguarding Resource and Support Hub, RSH. RSH supports organizations in the aid sector to strengthen their safeguarding policy and practice. I am Dr. Eleanor Wadinobi, the Senior Advisor and Sustainability Lead for the Nigeria Hub. In these podcast series, we'll discuss matters related to safeguarding in the aid sector. We'll have conversations with thought leaders and practitioners who can offer insights that can help us all to better understand safeguarding and improve our practices. In this episode, we will be listening to a radio interview on 104.5 Love FM Abuja with Oluchi and the National Representative for the Safeguarding Resource and Support Hub, RSH Nigeria, and Kingsley Okpabi, the Program Manager for Jireh Foundation, JDF, an RSH-mentored organization. Oluchi and Kingsley will be talking about the International Day for the Elimination of Sexual Violence in Conflict and what the RSH and JDF are doing to help eliminate sexual violence in conflict.
Today on the show, I have some wonderful people we'll be having a conversation with this morning. And for today's issue, we be communicating with RSH, Resource Support Hub. But then they will be joining me virtually this morning. Because I'm a he for she, I will first be, connecting us with the she this morning. With Oluchi, she's on the line already. Oluchi, good morning to you.
Good morning, Pinel.
Yes, it's good to have you this morning on the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
And this is Love 104.5 FM, Abuja.
All right, Oluchi, let me start with you first while I get back to Kingsley. Could you start by telling our listeners what RSH, that's Resource and Support Hub, is and what your primary mission is all about?
First of all, I'd like to introduce myself officially. My name is Oluchi and I am the National Representative for the FCDO-funded Safeguarding Resource and Support Hub project in Nigeria. And I lead the delivery of the RSH project in Nigeria to ensure its effectiveness and success. I am a safeguarding expert and trained mentor, and part of what I do is to lead on the technical support provision aspect of the RSH project, which is geared towards improving safeguarding policies and practices amongst organizations and networks in Nigeria. So talking about RSH and what our primary mission is in Nigeria, we aim to support organizations in the health sector to strengthen their safeguarding policies and practices against sexual exploitation, abuse, and sexual harassment. So the RSH Nigeria Hub, which I lead, is part of the global RSH, and the Nigerian Hub is designed specifically to support smaller local organizations who are working in the sector, and this includes both the development and humanitarian sectors, to ensure that these organizations do no further harm to the people and communities that they are there to protect when responding to their needs. And these needs could be emanating from a conflict situation, for example, or also arising from a longer term conflict issue that may have quietened down, but people are still facing the effect of that. So for example, when there is a conflict situation, aid workers are usually deployed to those contexts to provide emergency response and aid relief to the conflict victims. So what we are contributing to do is to ensure that there is, we eliminate those instances where the conflict victims are sexually exploited, abused, harassed, discriminated against, or bullied by the aid workers before receiving their appropriate intervention. And these we categorize under the umbrella of safeguarding. And for some organizations, they prefer to call that PSEAH, that is Prevention from Sexual Exploitation, Abuse, and Harassment. So this forms the core part of our work and mission at RSH. Thank you.
That's interesting. Good to know that. And I'm still on this. Why is the International Day for the Elimination of Sexual Violence in Conflict important to the work you do at RSH?
The International Day for the Elimination of Sexual Violence in Conflicts reminds us all, right, of the need to stand in solidarity with the survivors of conflict-related sexual violence and those supporting them. This includes organizations in the health sector, especially those in the humanitarian sector who provide services to the conflict areas. So this solidarity helps to spark hope, knowledge, and inspiration against conflict-related sexual violence. And we do this through advocacy, knowledge building, resource mobilization, and other programs. For example, joint programming around sexual violence and conflict. This is very important to the work we do at RSH. As I already mentioned, right? We work towards protecting people from sexual abuses and harms, enabling support services for survivors, and building the capacity of organizations who directly implement in these conflict areas to be sure that they are not exposing people to further harm. So yes, it aligns very well with our mission at RSH because they are all geared towards protecting people from being exposed to sexual abuses and harms of various kinds.
If I may ask, just an addendum, for all of this you're providing, are there charges attached to it, or is it something that you're doing willingly?
We are doing them at no cost.
Wow.
So at RSH, we have various initiatives that we've launched and which we are using to provide these services to the general public, right?
Okay.
So these initiatives are largely around awareness raising, capacity and knowledge building,
Okay.
and resource development. And for these, we provide through both online service areas and in person. So we have our online platform at nigeria.safeguardingsupporthub.org, where that's like a virtual platform that we use to provide some of the services that we have on this mission. Whereas we also have the in-person platform where we provide one-on-one services to organizations, to individuals, to networks of organizations, and now we are expanding to private sectors as well, looking at how we can extend this message on safeguarding to them, because safeguarding is a general life situation, and it cuts across different sectors. So yes, we provide all of these services at no cost.
And for people who are interested, because for some people, some people just die in silence, and it's a good initiative or it's a good move from you that this platform has been raised. How can people actually connect with RSH for people who fall under this category of what you are fighting against?
So we have the platform, like I mentioned, where people can easily access resources, again, on nigeria.safeguardingSupportHub. So there we have a variety of services. We have products that we've developed. When I say product, I mean materials that we've developed to improve people's knowledge and capacity on safeguarding or prevention from sexual exploitation, abuse, and harassment, to help them understand what their rights are, to help them know the unacceptable behaviors that they shouldn't tolerate, and what to do about them, how to report them, who to report them to, kind of to empower people to speak up, right? And get their voices heard. So everyone has that free access to our platform. Part of what we do, again, is we provide 6-month mentoring program support on safeguarding to local organizations. As for this, we have trained safeguarding experts who provide handheld support to these organizations to help them improve their capacities, putting the right systems in place in their organizations. So when I say systems, I mean things like developing robust safeguarding policies to help organizations understand what they are expected to do and what they are not is not acceptable for them to do. Getting them to develop reporting mechanisms that the people in the communities that they are providing support can use to reach out to them to let them know what they are going through. And then mainstreaming safeguarding in their human resources procedures so that they don't recruit potential perpetrators, amongst other services that we provide. So for the community members or the program participants who are working with these organizations, RSH is there to help them get back their voices and, speak up, reach out to the organizations they are working with, or go through the appropriate reporting mechanisms to report the concerns around sexual violence and other forms of sexual abuses and harms that they are going through and get justice for their causes. We also provide free webinars, right?
Okay.
Asking about how people can benefit from our services. So we usually provide bi-monthly webinars on safeguarding, different relevant safeguarding topics. And these webinars are also free of charge. So we usually publish or promote that through our website, our social media platforms, and individually, just to get everyone to attend. That is another way that they can benefit. And then we have a certified course on safeguarding, which is also available on our website. So people can undergo this course, right, to improve their knowledge on safeguarding, like I said, equip themselves, empower themselves to know what to do and how to go about it in the face of this, whether they are the ones going through it or they are just the bystander experiencing it from someone else. And this course is also free of charge on our website, nigeria.safeguardingsupporthub.org, and can be found on the online learning tab on our website. These are some of the services that we provide. There are lots of them, Peniel.
That means it's more like, it's a bouquet, more like.
It's a bouquet of services that we have on our website. Thank you. That's the best way for that.
That's really interesting. And the beauty is more of all of this is FOC, like we do say, free of charge.
Yes.
Wow.
Free of charge, FOC, really.
That's okay. Good morning, Kingsley.
Good morning.
Yes, Kingsley, you are the program manager for JDF.
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, welcome to the show this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Kingsley. How has the partnership with RSH enhanced your organization's capacity to address issues around sexual violence and conflict?
Thank you so much once again for having me. I think our partnership with RSH dates back to March 2021. And the partnership actually has given us access to key resources such as training modules, manuals, and, mentorship. For example, the mentorship program, for us as an organization actually facilitated, the strengthening of our organizational systems, staff capacity, especially around safeguarding and C. Through that support, JDF has continued to strengthen the capacities of, community leaders, stakeholders, our staff, and the vendors that work with the organization. And we now are more deliberate around infusing or embedding safeguarding within all organizations and capacity strengthening activities across, all levels. And maybe just to speak a bit about, the general achievements of the RSH in Nigeria so far, I think that one of the major achievements would be the system strengthening of national non-governmental organizations across Nigeria. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm talking about these. How do the communities you work with respond to the initiatives aimed at eliminating sexual violence? Are there notable changes in awareness and behavior?
Yes. So for us, as an organization and looking at the communities we've worked in so far, I would say that yes, they have been very receptive of, the initiatives and the approach we try to work with them.
Okay.
And majorly this is because we are either jointly designing those approaches or we seek their inputs while trying to design those approaches, ensuring that there is inclusion across the community levels. And we also try to factor in the local context, cultural factors while we work on those approaches. And through that, we have seen notable changes in the reduction of sexual violence in the communities that we've worked in.
Now, for you as an organization, right, working in the
Yeah.
North, can you tell us about the specific challenges you have faced in the region regarding sexual violence and conflict?
Okay, maybe just to speak a bit around, that there are specific challenges when we talk about sexual violence, especially in Northeast Nigeria. One of it is, like everyone will know, is the insecurity. Insecurity puts women and girls more at risk, to sexual violence, considering the role they play at the family level and also at the community level. And that again also has pushed quite a lot of women and young girls to adopt wrong coping mechanisms in order to survive because of the competing needs and, the lack of resources to meet those needs, either as individuals or as a family, as a whole. So the two major things I would say, for want of time, is insecurity, and also the fact that insecurity leads women and girls to adopt wrong, coping mechanisms, majorly because of the lack of resources to meet those needs. And usually this is where we come in as organizations responding to the needs in Northeast Nigeria.
Can you just highlight some of the mechanisms these people adopted that you are facing as a challenge?
So you would find out that some of the wrong coping mechanisms would be sex for food, sex for any of the services that are rendered by organizations, sex to gain access to services, or for food, sex to social amenities, basically. And then also you find out that, especially around young girls and women, and you find out that a lot of them would leave their camps and other places where they are being hosted. A bit of prostitution here and there. But basically you would see sex in exchange for food or for services.
Oh, that's really touching. What role does awareness and education play in eliminating sexual violence in conflict zones, and how does RSH contribute to these efforts?
So I would say that awareness and sensitization plays a key role in eliminating or trying to reduce the impact of sexual violence, especially in conflict zones. Sometimes, so far, we have seen that awareness and sensitization has helped, communities, women and girls understand the negative impacts of sexual violence it has on individuals, on families, and the community as a whole. You find out in some scenarios that the survivor of sexual violence knows the perpetrator. The perpetrator might be someone within the community, someone that is popularly known, or within the camp, someone that is a figurehead or something of that nature. And so when you do a lot of awareness and sensitization at the community level or the IDP camp level, it helps to provide the right information that helps them as individuals know the impact it has on them as individual health impact, mental impact, social impact, and also on the families and the community as a whole. And, this is where RSH comes in. RSH comes in, with this deliberateness to ensure that the capacity of organizations are strengthened, and organizations are better able to put measures in place such that staff of those organizations do not end up being perpetrators of sexual violence, for one. It also ensures that organizations ensure that their programs are designed in a way that it is safe and does not do more harm to the people that we are serving. Because again, as staff of organizations, we have certain level of power. That is a different conversation for another day. But majorly, RSH's contribution to those efforts is to ensure that capacities are strengthened, we have the right information, we have access to the right training models, such that when we need to strengthen the capacity of stakeholders, community leaders, we are doing that with the right information. We are also ensuring that we have the right systems as organizations responding to make humanitarian conflict or needs, and our staff are representing us correctly, and staff are not doing more harm, than the good that we are setting out to do.
Now I'm talking about your partnership with RSH. I know for you, JDF, that's Jireh Foundation, right?
Yes.
Talking about your partnership with RSH, how far has it gone to mitigate some of the challenges you've mentioned?
So, if you, like I said during the introduction, one of the things that we enjoyed in the partnership with RSH was mentorship, and we still have that opportunity where through that mentorship, we had our systems, organizational systems, reporting systems for sexual, violence and other safeguarding concerns strengthened. We also had, and it's the same for a lot of national organizations across Nigeria, we had access to these qualified mentors who provide guidance throughout that process to ensure that we have those systems strengthened. RSH was also instrumental in strengthening the capacity of our board members on sexual, violence and safeguarding as a whole, such that at that level of governance, they are able to provide, the right support, the right advisory, they have better oversights, to know what to do and respond when, such issues arise and the reporting gets to them at board level, for example. So this is just, an instance, and I can tell you that a lot of organizations across Nigeria, across the Northeast Nigeria and across Nigeria has benefited same, from the RSH.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Kingsley Okpabi. Oluchi, good to have you back. There's a partnership between RSH and JDF, right?
Yes.
Good. And I'd like you to tell the members of the public, this partnership, what has it been like for these two organizations?
It's been a wonderful journey, I must confess, and I'm sure Kingsley must have attested to that already.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just going back a little. Before we launched in Nigeria in 2020, there was very skeletal knowledge around safeguarding. It wasn't really a popular concept, and a lot of organizations weren't familiar with what it's all about and how to apply that in their work. But since we launched in 2020 till date, we've had great partnership with different organizations, such as Jireh Foundation, which Kingsley ably represents on this call, as well as other 49 organizations in Nigeria that we've worked with.
Okay.
And I must say that it's been a good journey, both for JDF and the rest of the organizations, because it has helped to improve their knowledge and capacity on safeguarding and has given them the confidence to put in the right systems in their organization to improve their organizational culture and to be intentional about protecting people from sexual exploitation, abuse, and harassment, and other forms of sexual harm. It's a journey, like we always say. Safeguarding is a journey because it includes behavioral changes, organizational culture improvement, and all awareness raising, accountability, right? And other aspects of it. But this journey has been great, and it has had good impact both for Jireh and the other organizations. And in this phase, which we started last year, October, we are intentional about reaching out to more organizations, both in the health sector and in the private sector, like I mentioned earlier. And we are doing this by working with various networks so that we can extend this free support service to other organizations. So the journey has been smooth. There has been improved knowledge. There has been improved capacity. And we are also expectant that in the next review that we'll be doing or survey, that will find out that there has been intensified efforts to eliminate the occurrences of sexual harms and abuses amongst people in their programs.
Now, Oluchi, before I let you go, having made mention of all of these, there are survivors of this project, right?
Yes.
What's your message to these survivors?
I am speaking this morning to our wonderful survivors by saying that they do not need to suffer alone, but that by the way of this call this morning that they are encouraged to speak up and report such issues of sexual violence, sexual exploitation, sexual abuse, sexual harassment, or any other kind of sexual harm that they are facing. So I'm encouraging them this morning to speak up, to use the appropriate channels for reporting, to get their voices heard so that the appropriate support service will be provided to them. And as part of our services, we have on our online platform, specifically on the direct support tab on nigeria.safeguardingsupporthub.org, we have a list of survivor support service providers who are ready to provide survivor support to these survivors of sexual abuses and harms. So it's all about reaching out to them through our website on nigeria.safeguardingsupporthub.org and getting their services provided to them.
All right, thank you very much, Oluchi Ihedero, National Representative of Resource Support Hub, known as RSH Nigeria. Thank you for your time, and we wish you all the best as you run along with this vision.
Many thanks to all of you for listening. I hope you have enjoyed this podcast. If you want to learn more about this program, why not visit our online hub by browsing nigeria.safeguardingsupporthub.org. If you have any comments on this episode, or if you would like to share your thoughts on what the focus of future episodes should be, please contact us on info@safeguardingsupporthub.org. Thank you for joining us today, and see you on the next podcast.